Hello, and thank you for joining me here today. This episode is going to be about my story and why I am so passionate about encouraging women, specifically moms, who have been through trauma. My goal is to help 700 women go from trauma to thriving through sharing God's Word and words of encouragement here on this podcast, through teaching women how to run a profitable online business, and through my book, which I hope to release sometime in the near future. So, you may be wondering if this podcast can add value to your life, and the answer is yes, if you are a woman who has been through something difficult. You know what it's like to walk through a storm, and you have relied on God in your darkest moments. And you are working on yourself daily to become the woman that God is calling you to be. Whether you need a little encouragement to help you get through a stressful situation, like a child who is refusing to sleep all night, and now you're just having a difficult time getting out of bed because you're exhausted, or you are walking through one of the most difficult times of your life, like the loss of a loved one. I'm here to share my experience, help raise your vibration, inspire, and encourage you. I feel like it's important to briefly share my story so that you can know why this podcast and why you are so important to me. My journey of seeking encouragement and seeking and fully relying on God started in 2017. May 26th of 2017 specifically, which was the day that I walked into an ER room where my 3-month-old baby was lying lifeless. How she got there and all the days after that are a very long story, which is why I'm writing a book with all the details. But long story short, she was there due to shaken baby syndrome. And that was the day that I prayed like I have never prayed before. My daughter's heart stopped, and after 20 minutes of CPR, she was revived, but almost all of her brain had died during that time. So, on top of going through the trauma with my daughter, I became a single mom to a severely disabled child pretty much overnight. It was her biological father who shook her, so I filed for divorce shortly after this event. And that was really rock bottom for me. My faith and encouragement from others is the only reason that I'm here today and didn't completely crumble under the weight of my sorrow, guilt, shame, anger, and helplessness. Throughout that time, as a single mom, I constantly seeked out encouragement, inspiration, motivation, and hope through listening to sermons and reading the Bible a lot. Without doing that consistently, my mind would have been stuck in a deep pit of despair and probably depression. God was the reason I was able to keep going, keep moving forward, and keep sharing my faith and caring for my 2 girls as a working single mom. Fast forward to 2019, I got engaged to the most amazing man that I've ever known, and encouragement played a huge role in my marriage as well after discovering my husband's pornography addiction. From 2019 through September 2020, we believed that he was healed and that he had left his addiction behind, only to find out that he was not fully healed from this. My daughter, who I mentioned earlier, her name was Krista. She was in the hospital and had just been placed on hospice care when my husband was tempted and fell back into his addiction. So there I was, signing papers for my daughter's end of life care. I was making funeral arrangements and feeling so heartbroken that my husband's actions and the situation I found myself in just at the time seemed so horrible. But God. That is what I think in my life several times, but God. He held me in those moments where I felt so much anger, resentment, brokenness, fear, and regret. He encouraged me, and He sent others into my life to encourage me and to help me get back up, to rise from the ashes, and it worked. My daughter ended up passing away on October 13th, 2020, and my husband and I have worked diligently every day on his healing and my healing. We have a beautiful marriage, and God has blessed us with a baby girl who's expected to arrive sometime in February 2022. So, the purpose of this podcast is because I desire to be that person for you, the person who I always needed for encouragement back through my trauma, and I'm sure that I will need again sometime. When you are in a position where you feel hopeless, or maybe you just need a little boost, I pray that you will turn on this podcast and feel uplifted and loved. So thank you so much for tuning in to my very first episode. I will release new episodes around